My first path with God was He led me straight to perception. Over to Europe, I had a business over there. Then I was dealing with people who thought differently than I do, completely different than I do. And I thought, well, how is this possible? This is once I learned and understood how they saw the world, I was able to do business with them. At first, it took me about 3 months to get the first country down. Then after that, it took me about a month, and I'd pick it up pretty quick because I knew what to look for, and I knew what I was doing then because I could see it. But until then, I couldn't. And you look at the United States, one part of the country to a completely other end of the part of the country. If I'm in Seattle, they're loving salmon, they're loving artichokes, they're loving, the Puget Sound, they're loving certain things they love about their environment and their communities. I go to Dallas, I'm getting a completely different thing. I might get Tex-Mex. I mean, completely different ways of seeing this as a community. That's how we perceive it. And it's all altered by our experiences. If you've ever traveled around to different cities, you'll see the differences in them. And you kind of sort of got to play on it to start to understand. And then from that is understanding that we have to see what we can't see. I got that mainly from the Bible. I'll read a parable, look up, get sight in something. Read a parable, look up, get sight in something. Read another parable, look up, get sight in something. What is that? That's repetition. That's how we learn. That's the first thing that pulled out of my eyes. I said, well, okay, you can teach me how to learn. I get that. Because I understand repetition is how we learn. And then I looked at the whole concept of it and thought, well, he's teaching me just one individual thing in each one of those, or a few things. I might get more than one thing out of it, actually. And then I look it up and I gain a new understanding of it through sight. Why? Because I kept an open mind. Did you ever think that he was also trying to teach you how to have sight in things? Not only sight in that individual thing, but if he's repeatedly teaching you something and teaching you how to have sight in it, that maybe that's also the major lesson. Maybe that's what he's trying to keep away from evil, of understanding that we are blind, but now we see. When you read the book of Revelations, because I believe that we're in the time of unveiling. Well, why would I say unveiling? Because that's what the word means. Revelations. That's what it means. Everybody I talk to, they say, end. If God took the time to label the book, Revelation. You think we take time to look it up? You think so? Not always, but we need to. Because that's we're blind and we need to see, and we have to open our eyes to do that. And what God told me that I am, religion-wise, I asked him. Because, I travel, and they said, "Bob, what church you go to?" I said, whichever one's closest to me. I said, because, I travel around. I don't have time. I don't research. I just go. Whatever's closest. And what do I get out of that? I get a new understanding, a new way they see religion. And I travel and visit them all. What I learned is that I'm not a Catholic, I'm not a Protestant, I'm not a Methodist, I'm not a Baptist, because you asked me what those religions are, and I pretty much can tell you structured what they have already dictated what the beliefs are. Believe in this is what we believe here. They do that. I'm not that person. I'm fluid. That's what God told me when I asked him. That's what he said. He said, Bobby, you're fluid. You're fluid. You're like water running like a river. A river, no two rivers are the same. And no two people will ever believe the same either. So that's exactly what my beliefs are. It's acknowledging what it is. It's understanding my river will change. If I ask a question, you get new information. You can't unsee what you saw. So that becomes a part of who you are, and something fundamentally inside us changes. Just like so does my river. My river changes and evolves as my knowledge does. What denomination am I? I'm fluid. I just don't have a strict, set, rigid, structured. I believe in Jesus, so I believe that they're all right. Ask questions. Your questions won't be the same as mine, and your answers probably won't either, because you live a different life than I have. And because of that experiences, those different life experiences, come to the point when we look at something, we're going to see totally different things because we have different experiences that make us see that. That alone shows you that if we live our life and we see life through our experiences, and that's how we see it, there's nobody can dispute that. So he said, do you realize then that means that then there's no way in the world two people can look at anything and see it the same. God made us that way on purpose. He made us, each one of us, unique and individual because he has different plans for all of us. He has great plans for Saul. That's another one of the messages he gave me to make sure I pass through to you. He's great plans for every one of us. He's great plans for you. And I do believe in reincarnation. I believe in multiple threads of religions. I've seen truth in them that made me believe them. That's my personal belief. I'm not telling you to believe it. Okay. But there's remnants of reincarnation, every single religion. From Judaism to Christianity, all of it. You go back in the past, and then you got religious leaders who dictate to us what they have these council meetings, and then within the religion, they dictate what they consider to be accepted within the religions. Parts that are not filled in. What do we think that we have to tell people something? We need to tell them what to believe about it. So the religious leaders get together and they dictate what's to our best benefit. Okay. Christianity and the way that works, that was the Council of Sia back in 362 AD, about 1600 years ago. About the time they removed the Book of Enoch out of they didn't actually remove it there, but they actually talked to the religious leaders who talked to the local pastors and said, listen, we need to stop talking about this because it's not for now. It can be very confusing. If people didn't understand, they might get confused by it. I could see how that could happen. I don't see how they could happen now, but I see how they could happen then. Because we're not in the same time. That's why the Dead Sea Scrolls come out, and now it's time to what you're blind with it. Now you see. Now it's come back into public awareness. They talked about it in the book of Jude, right? So it's in the Bible, and Jesus quoted out of it. So it's in the Bible. It's just not in the Bible. So it's something that you need to read and try to make your own decision on. I mean, it's not a question of salvation, because with Jesus, all you do is ask and walk right through it. It's a question of knowledge and growth and why you're here. We're here to evolve. We're here to grow. And how do we do that? By asking questions. And we need to make sure that we're not letting a set of people tell us what to believe. You need to be fluent in that part of it and be willing to open your mind and understand that we don't have all the answers. And that concept of sight is something we need to grab, because Jesus was trying to teach us sight. That's repetition. That's how we learn. He's trying to show you how to see what you can't see. Maybe he's trying to teach you how to see what you can't see in everything.